Hi, everyone. I can see we're letting people in. We've got a full house today. And many people, we've got tons of people registered, and some people are looking to receive the recording, so may not actually join us live today. But for those of you who are live, welcome. Let a couple minutes more go by, and then we will get started. So thank you for joining us today. And you'll also get a recording. So just by virtue of registering, you will get the recording, and you'll get an email from us later on with the recording. Well, I think we're just going to get started because people will trickle in. But I'd like to also introduce Lana Sanderson, who is helping me with this webinar today. And she's going to man the chat. And, feel free to, put your information in the chat if you'd like to share it with others, who you are, where you're from, and I guess your interest in scaling smarter. And the presentation is designed to last about 30 minutes. So you can kind of get a sense of what I want to share today. But if you've got questions, we'll have a time for that towards the end of the presentation to cover your questions, make sure we cover the things that you're most interested in. So with that, I'm going to get started. And the topic today is scaling smarter with virtual assistants. And to me, it's all about aligning the capabilities of virtual assistants with cost and culture. And I'll talk more about why I label the talk virtual assistants in a broader concept versus a person, which is who is a virtual assistant, because that's meaningful and significant. So let me start by talking a little bit about me. Really, because I'm providing this presentation because my mission in business, frankly, is all about empowering business owners to scale. So I really consider myself more of a scaling expert than someone that's explicitly focused on virtual assistants. But I'll tell you how the two are linked in a minute. So really a little bit of background and why I guess I feel I'm qualified to talk about this topic is I come from an unusual background for someone that's focusing on small businesses and helping them scale. But I spent decades running Fortune 500 business operations. And then in 2002, I left corporate America and I joined my first tech startup. So I've become an entrepreneur as well as an angel investor. So I've really looked at scaling businesses both from an entrepreneur, scaling my own business and helping others scale theirs, as well as an investor in people that putting money behind other businesses to help them scale. And so during that time as an entrepreneur, as an angel investor, I've spent the last 2 decades hiring freelancers myself. So I have a lot of experience both hiring, finding, vetting, all kinds of experience in that area. But at the end of the day, I found a gap in small businesses and the talent solutions that are available to them. And so that's really what my company is all about, which I launched in 2015. And I really feel at the heart of it that smaller businesses, solopreneurs, small businesses really need some human help in hiring fractional talent because there's a lot that they need, but ultimately need help in figuring out what the best solution is for them. And so we're really all about contract staffing and technology. We're really a hybrid. And so my mission and my business is about really sharing my deep expertise in fractional talent solutions because I've been connecting business owners with vetted, high-performing freelance professionals for over 10 years now and hundreds of successful placements with success rates. And so I've really built a lot of skills in helping business owners outsource and scale. And really what I want to do today is talk about some of the experiences that we've had and share to help you better understand how to scale your own business. And if we can help, great. But hopefully you walk away with new ideas and skills so you can make the right decisions for your business. But ultimately, what I am and what my company is we're a hybrid. We're the best of both worlds, talent specialists, but we're also using technology to make it efficient and more successful. So let's talk about why I care about a small business. Frankly, it's because they're 99.9% of all US businesses. We hear about the big businesses all the time, but what really drives the economy are small businesses. And almost 82% are non-employer firms. At the end of the day, these are solopreneurs that don't have employees that look to scale by other means, and another 6 million of small employers are 1 to 4 employees, 5 to 9 employees, 10 to 19 employees, and you can see the average revenue there. So I look at this large group of businesses and think, how can they be bigger? How can they be more successful? And that's really what scaling is all about. And the other thing that I find is a worry and a concern is, is their survival rates. And you can see here by this slide that in about 5 years, only 50% of the businesses have survived. And, it goes down from there. And the failure reasons, which I think at the end of the day are reasons that freelance talent can help, is businesses run out of money because the cost of scaling their business is too high. They have obsolete products and services because they're not keeping up with what's happening in their market, and they get out competed. And those are all things that I think we can address through smart hiring. And so really, what are the business scaling pain points that I'm hoping to address in this presentation? Well, first is, how do you scale smarter? And I think that a source of tremendous talent is virtual assistants in the broadest sense of the word, because virtual assistance comes in many forms and it can be highly skillful, really perform work in an excellent manner. You want responsiveness in virtual assistants, and you really want culture that can reflect who you are for the customers that you serve. But the dilemma or the balancing act that small businesses face is, while they want skills, excellence, responsiveness, and culture, there's also concern about cost. Small business owners also have finite time and frankly get options overwhelmed. There's so many ways that businesses can help scale their business that it gets overwhelming to make those decisions. And ultimately, I think the last thing that is increasingly important for small businesses and the virtual assistance that's available is it's the choice between human versus AI or automated solutions. And those balancing acts are really the dilemma for small businesses. So at the end of the day, there is trade-offs. There's people, and people options come in 2 primary forms: onshore, which is hiring people in your own country, or offshore, which is hiring people from other countries that can step in sometimes at lower costs, lower absolute costs, to do business for you. And then you also have technology options, and they come in 2 forms too. AI tools, which are like the fundamental AI processing, like ChatGPT or Perplexity, Claude. There's many foundational tools that perform AI for you. And then there's AI agents that actually have higher intelligence and actually perform functions for you utilizing AI. And so there's just a lot of choice. And what are the trade-offs between the people options and the technology options? I'd like to talk first about human outsourcing options and the difference between onshore and offshore. And there's no right or wrong here. There's no better or worse. It's just choices that you have. But onshore, typically, depending on where you're onshoring, and I'm really speaking primarily to businesses that are based in the United States or Canada, which is our area of focus, but onshore resources in the US or Canada tend to have higher rates than many places offshore, particularly not in Europe per se, but in some other countries, the rates can be lower. Really, the benefit to onshore is really the US time zone options as well. Also, onshore virtual assistants tend to know business practices here. They grew up here, so they know how business is done. They've experienced business practices here. There's a common culture. Often there's a known network of people. Business owners are networked in their city, in their communities, online in various communities. And so the vetting process and understanding the security pros and cons, trade-offs are better known. Offshore, you can have really smart people all over the world that speak and write English well, and rates can be lower in other countries where the cost of living is lower. But you're also dealing with time zone differences, work style differences, because growing up in a different culture doesn't mean that you understand the work culture in the one you want to work. And as a result, there's different service models, how businesses are providing services in your country, you know, as well as whether there's package requirements versus, you know, really kind of an hourly rate model. There's all kinds of different business model that you have to think about. And frankly, you're dealing with unfamiliar networks, different vetting practices, and uncertain security. You just don't know as much about an offshore environment. So it's really trade-off. What's important to you and what budget do you have? These are just trade-offs that you need to think about when you're considering hiring virtual assistants for your business. And let's talk a little bit about AI outsourcing options, because again, there's kind of alternatives. And really, I think about it more in terms of the pros and the cons. So with AI, the pro is it's available 24/7. It never sleeps. It's super cost effective. You know, many AI options are free, and in nearly all offer very deep data access and rapid data processing, because AI is going to go out and search the web for you and find the best possible information based on the questions you ask, to provide a consolidation of information to you quickly. But AI comes with drawbacks. You know, it's undifferentiated. If everybody asks AI the same question, they're going to get the same answer. And so starting to think about how you use AI by asking differentiated questions that will give you differentiated answers is really key. And if AI, for the most part, delivers very impersonal customer experiences. It never disagrees with you, and it can be very bland. So a lot of people say, oh, that sounds like AI, and it may be. So you need to think about how do you get the best AI output so you have a differentiated response, so it is more personal. But as I mentioned, AI doesn't disagree with you, and it also really doesn't offer judgment. It's not, you can ask it, tell me the best of, but it's really analyzing data. It's not applying judgment from the perspective of your company per se. And then one thing that really doesn't get talked about a lot is that there's so many point solutions out there, a best solution for email, a best solution for this or that. But at the end of the day, in a business, all these tools need to come together. And scripts need to be written. Email templates need to be written. So there's more to it than just choosing an AI-driven tool, because you have to think about how it works for the rest of your business. So that's not something that it talks about a lot, but it is a material issue. And then later, the last item is really the data privacy and IP ownership issue. You need to be careful about what you export to AI to have it analyze for you, because that becomes information in the public domain unless you explicitly use AI tools that allow you to disallow that. So a lot of pros and cons in using AI, but you know, I happen to be a huge AI fan, and it's just using it properly. So let's talk a little bit about human and digital virtual assistants, because if you put out in ChatGPT, tell me about a virtual assistant, what's going to come back first is a digital virtual assistant. And we're all familiar with Alexa or Siri at the most basic level with our phones and appliances we use in our homes. But in the scheme of things, historically, virtual assistant has been something the humans do. And I like to think of virtual assistants as really a professional support service. It's not just a person. A person can do various things, but it's a set of services that can be delivered professionally by humans. And in the past, for the most part, these humans worked on tasks, task lists, clerical data entry, routine workflows, templates, and scripts. At the lower end of the spectrum, that's what human virtual assistants did. And at the high end were outcomes-oriented virtual assistants, people that did critical problem solving, were creative, critical thinking, very flexible communications, really helping manage time management, attention to detail, and certainly providing the human flavor to any work that was done in outcomes-oriented work. And what I really see happening is that digital or AI-driven virtual assistants is taking over the low end of the spectrum. And it's very good at these repetitive, clerical, routine kind of tasks. And I really encourage people to think about how AI can help them with these kinds of tasks. And what I see, particularly with AI agents, is that AI virtual assistants is the frontier is moving. It's able to do more and more of the things that human virtual assistants can do, but it also requires more sophistication in understanding how to use those tools. So at the end of the day, I really think that the best solution is a hybrid. It's a digital virtual assistants plus human virtual assistants, because the human can leverage the AI to the best effect, but also do the fact checking. So make sure it's not hallucinating. That will help make sure that your inquiry is accomplishing the broadest historical database, because not all the AI tools cover the same historical database. It will also do a reasonableness test. Is the response that you got back sensible? Does it apply to your particular business? And humans also own the results. You know, AI does not. It's just going to repeat back to you what you asked for. But humans can really own the result and really be the human voice of your brand. So again, I think both are extremely valuable, but it's thinking how the two come together to help you in your business. So I'd like to talk more about ways for a business to think about using all of these human and digital virtual assistant tools to apply to your business. But let me start with just kind of what's a small business owner to do? You know, how do you scale smarter? So this is just a little situation analysis before applying these options. This particular business owner felt overwhelmed, too much to do, super stressed by time and budget constraints, and frankly, too many options. And really the impact that this business owner was thinking was this business growth had plateaued. And how does this business owner take the business to the next level? And so the outcomes that this business owner sought were resuming business momentum and having a clear path to success, not just a solution today, but something that they could help with the strategy going forward. And this CEO really is kind of a composite of all the people that we've worked with over time, but these are very common feelings that businesses come to us with, what they're looking for and the outcomes that they're seeking. So the thing we start with is that time is your most valuable asset. And really, these are all choices. You choose how you spend your time versus investing your time. And to me, it's a very clear choice. Spending time is on the things you need to do to run your business, but investing your time is doing the work that is going to generate value and deliver revenue to your company and really is client focused. And so that's my entire orientation, and really my encouragement for small businesses to focus on the high value, the high ROI work when they're thinking about scaling their business. So to me, core work is the work that your client pays you for. That is your high ROI work. And to me, in simple parlance, is kind of the front office. But the non-core work is the stuff you got to do to run your business, but it's not the work your client will pay you for, but it's a cost to your business. And let's just call that the back office. To me, the secret of success is thinking about how do you look at the back office and find ways to outsource that to skilled AI-enabled pros. And that could be people or it's tools. So people, humans, or AI kind of tools or AI-enabled tools. And really, to me, the solution is a hybrid because it offers a scalable, efficient approach to personalized support for your business. But the question is what to outsource? Well, what's ideal to outsource to human is high complexity, brand sensitive, customer facing roles. And the opposite is what's ideal for AI and AI agents. Well, things that are more routine, that will free up, whether it's you or the virtual assistants that you use to support your business, free them up for the complex, creative, and more customer focused work. And so to me, the two can work perfectly together. But again, it's trade-offs. So in my mind, let's look at things from a total cost assessment to a total value assessment. And so when you think about cost, It's not just an hourly rate for a virtual assistant, whether it's offshore or onshore. It's thinking about the skill gaps, the cultural fit, the setup of tools and systems, as well as the oversight or managing people or tools when you're choosing the right blend of talent and tools for your business. And in terms of value, which offsets what it is costing you, it's considered brand, personalization, the ease of collaboration, security, customer satisfaction. These are things that drive sustainable ROI. So these aren't often point in time decisions. It's thinking short term as well as long term about how the combination of humans and, AI driven tools can combine together to help you in your business. So, how do you start thinking about a hybrid solution? Well, I think about a rule that will help you deliver scalable value cost effectively. And to me, I've kind of coined this phrase process, tools, people as an outsourcing methodology. And the order is very important. I think process comes first, then comes tools, and then ultimately people after process and tools. So let me tell you why. So the first thing is, I think, in terms of scaling smarter, process is critically important because how you deliver your business value, your customer value is a business asset. If you're ever thinking about selling your business, then process is important because your business has to be able to deliver value in a repeatable fashion. And so to me, building repeatable process is the first step. It helps you deliver your value consistently, get more done consistently, and it's the first step to enabling you to delegate and outsource. Now, you don't have to have process written down and documented for every possible process, but maybe the top 5, because that's what really differentiates you. And so many people say to me, oh, well, I'm not a process person. And that's totally fine. Many people are not. But there is AI-enabled Freelance Pro to do that. You can ask AI to write a process for you, but then it's going to give you a generic process that you and a human virtual assistant can customize to you. So it's a great place to start, but you can tailor it to really reflect you and how you uniquely deliver your business. The next is tech tools. I think it's important to use tech tools that fit your process, not the other way around. And a lot of people will respond to an ad like, oh, buy the latest and greatest tech tools. But if you're retrofitting your process to fit the tool, it's not really efficient and it's not really helping you build your brand. So I think using tech tools that fit your process, even your primary processes first, really save you time and money. And it helps you offload things that are repetitive to the tools that are cost effective because it's a fixed cost. You pay a monthly subscription or a one-time fee or an annual fee versus a variable cost of humans that can do things on a repeatable basis. But again, it's that combination that gets you the win. But I think the other thing that tools give that is hard for people to deliver in the same way is they enable you to capture valuable data that you can't keep in a head, but you can keep in a database. And it helps you embrace artificial intelligence because if you've got processes and tech tools, you can automate routine processes and workflows using like CRMs. You can automate responses by putting bots, for example, to deliver initial customer service on your website. But most importantly, I think AI is great to help you ideate and synthesize information because it can give you a great starting point to scale your business. And again, just like the process, if you're not a tech person, no problem. There is a tech-enabled Freelance Pro that can help you with that. If I've learned anything in my years of hiring freelancers, human freelancers, is there's somebody that's good at the thing you don't want to do or the thing you're not good at. It's just finding that right person to help you bridge that gap. And so lastly, instead of the scaling smarter is people. Because I think what is important about people is leveraging minds, critical and creative thinking. So to me, it's process, tech tools and AI, then people. And those people can be employees, they can be network or business partners, or freelance and contract professionals. There's just so many options out there to help a business think about how to scale. And, as I said, there's somebody great out there that can do X, Y, or Z, whatever it is. There is a freelance pro that really can help you deliver whatever it is that you need to deliver and help you figure out how to do process, tools, then people. So let's go back to our CEO. He was looking for business momentum, clear paths to success, and really what he got from a hybrid solution of human and technology was more time to spend on his core initiatives that would help him grow his business. And I was thinking specifically about a business owner in particular who doubled his revenue, in a fairly short period of time after implementing this hybrid solution. And the profit from this work covered the cost of hiring a virtual assistant, a human virtual assistant, and the AI tools that he deployed over time. And so these were some of the key roles that were executed by this hybrid team. Systemization of his operations, so he more streamlined, and all the daily admin and the scheduling that needed to happen for him to service clients. He was able to implement some lead generation systems. So he was sending out value newsletters and emails that were customized to the clients he wanted to serve. So he was able to deliver more personalized client support experience, both leads and the clients once he got them. Help with invoicing and bookkeeping, which kept up on something that needs to be kept on, but isn't the most fun part of a business. And from a marketing perspective, really was able to develop an editorial calendar by searching the web for what are my target clients looking to hear about? What are the most important things right now that I should be writing about and speaking to how I can help? And that led to content creation, which, the core ideas might have been developed by AI, but then was improved upon and customized and personalized by humans. And that all led to better social media, newsletter, article cadence. And last thing, which was interesting, was I've heard this more than once, that the human VA ended up being kind of an accountability partner, helping the person, the CEO, keep on track. These are the most important things to do this week, next week, or help me do this and make sure I did it. And that's something that a human can do with more personality than actually an AI agent can do as well. So those are just some of the examples of things that by a human and enabled by technology was able to help this business owner really scale his business. So a little bit about results resourcing and how we can help. There are many, many freelance pros out in the world. There's almost 77 million freelancers in the United States and 1.6 billion freelancers globally. And this data was from 2024. So I'm sure it's even more because the notion of fractional help is growing in popularity. More and more people want to offer their help on a fractional basis. And how do you find them? Well, probably the most common way is DIY. Through network referrals, people that saying, oh, I know somebody that can do this, that, or the other thing. And there are a lot of online platforms like Upwork or Fiverr. But you know what? You're talking to technology when you're talking to those platforms. You're not talking to a human that knows you, knows your business. And then there are recruiters like Results Resourcing. We recruit specifically for contract, and we're not the only one, but we're an option. And you pay for the service value, but we're also expert at it. And so to me, DIY, if you think about the value of time, it's low ROI. It's not what your business is all about. You clearly want to leverage your network, but recognize the cost of doing that versus getting somebody that is specialized in this that you pay for, but you also get a value for that work. And so with results resourcing, we do consider ourselves the best of both worlds. We are a fully automated proprietary technology platform, but we don't expect you to use it. We use it to be more efficient for you. But what you get from us is talking to human beings that are going to help you think about what you need, help you make trade-offs between human and technology, and really help you access skilled, scalable talent cost effectively and quick. So we offer on-demand freelance assistance in the broadest sense of the word. We match you to free-vetted freelance pros, but they're in the US or Canada, so they're onshore, and they're skilled in the professional practices, culture, and communication styles that are sometimes important for various kinds of work for US-based or people that want to do business in the States or Canada. And they are very AI skilled. The other thing that's a bit different about us is we match you with teams. not just an individual, because we've really found that one individual has a finite skill set and only so many hours in the day. But an individual supported by a team provides skill breadth and depth by role type, because many solopreneurs and small businesses have an immediate need. That need gets met, then they need something else, and they're typically faced with having to find a new contractor, as opposed to handling the first need with a team, and then the team can respond as those needs to develop. So lastly, we offer no minimum hours commitment, as a lot of freelance firms do require some sort of a retainer. We do not. And we can set up a team in 24 to 48 hours that can really respond to a broad set of roles. And these are the most popular roles. They're very broad, from your basic virtual assistant to social media, biz dev support, online business managers, project managers. We can offer so much in so many different areas. And we also guarantee results. In fact, I named the company Results Resourcing because that's what I want to do. I want to resource results. That's what I expected when I was running businesses for Fortune 500, and what I want for my own business. So I want that for you as well. So at the end of the day, when I think about scaling smarter, these are the key decision factors. Prioritize your time on core work and delegate the rest. And you can't go from 0 to 60, in a minute, but you can whittle away at that by focusing on what is the most important core work, focusing on that first, and slowly delegating things to process tools and people that can help you accomplish or spend more time on your core work. And that's really focusing on balancing the looking at overall value that you're getting from the tools and the people that you outsource to, not just the immediate rate savings. And so it's really important to consider skill, cultural fit, and oversight commitments, because all of those things are the things that are going to sap time and energy, and they're going to cost because it's time that you could be used elsewhere. So it's finding those, considering those factors is going to be the most efficient use of your time. And really, I think it's combining virtual assistants and AI agents for the best result. More and more, we're going to have automation that will help us do things, and finding human virtual assistants that can help you leverage those increasingly complex tools will deliver the best result for you. And so I really think it's about choosing a virtual assistance strategy that's going to adapt as your needs evolve. That's the way, in my opinion, to maximize your impact, and we'd love to help you do that. So I'd like to thank you for being with us today, whether it was live today or by looking at the recording of this. And I'd be happy to talk to all of you. Here's a QR code to book a free 30-minute, no obligation call. I love talking to entrepreneurs and sharing my experiences and helping them think through how virtual assistants can help them, whether it's with us or with other solutions that are right for them. So happy to turn next to any Q&A that we've had in terms of chat. So Lana, please let me know if there's any questions in the chat, and I would love to kind of answer those questions.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Courtney Smith had a question. Would there be a deck available with the recording?
We don't typically share the deck, but you're going to get the recording, which will help you kind of screenshot, any particular slides that you're interested in.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. How do you recommend the small business owners determine which tasks are truly core and which are best outsourced to virtual assistants or AI agents?
Okay. I think the best thing is to kind of is to step back and say to yourself, what value do I deliver to my clients? And, it's going to be something around, I consult about this, or I produce that. And it's thinking about what it is your customers come to you for. And then thinking about the things that you explicitly do to deliver that. Those are the kinds of things that are going to be in that core work bucket. And it's probably not 100 things. It's maybe 10 things. And there might be multiple steps to that process. So it's really just starting with that simple list of what it is I do for a living that people come to me for. And that's the starting point. And there's no perfect answer to that answer. There's no right answer to that question. It's just start there. And, over time, when you think about finding someone to help you help clear everything else that isn't those things. Those are your non-core activities. And, and it's an evolutionary kind of thing, but that's the place to start, is to focus on those top things that help you deliver value. And then anything that's not on that list is fair game to find somebody that can help you do those things, to free you up so you can do more of the things that generate value and generate revenue. Generate value for your client and generate revenue for your company.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What are some of the best practices for integrating human virtual assistants and digital AI-powered virtual assistants as a hybrid team to maximize ROI?
Well, I think in my mind, the best solution, bearing in mind that I think that's finding those integration points is not high ROI activity for the business owner. I think it's something that a virtual assistant who is AI enabled can do for you, because those AI enabled virtual assistants tend to be quite knowledgeable about what are the latest and greatest tools out there to do email management, or to add a customer service function to your website or something like that. And so I would encourage you to work with companies, virtual assistants, marketing agencies, whatever it is that seems right to you, that can help you make those decisions. So thinking about the thing you want to accomplish, and then finding the resources that can provide the advice to help you make the right decisions about choosing those tools. And then, honestly, I've talked to a lot of business owners that have bought technology enabled tools, and I'll just use a CRM or a mail automation systems. They have bought tools, and many of them are quite robust, but they bought those systems, but they've only set them up to the bare minimum. And that's where I think a technology or AI savvy virtual assistant can really be helpful, because they know how to not only set up those systems, but they know how to optimize those systems. So again, bearing in mind or speaking to what you want that system to do, like communicate with your clients regularly with a newsletter or whatever it might be, you can really optimize those systems so they streamline work. So it's not just sending out a newsletter, but it's also tracking the open rates, or it's tracking which types of clients responded to which kinds of mailings. There's all kinds of things that you can do that set up additional layers of complexity and sophistication in using those tools. So I think that finding the right person to help you use the tools you have to a better level, or choosing the right tools. And I think it's virtual assistants or other kinds of agencies that can help you make those decisions and integrate those tools and those processes into how you do business every day.
Thank you. I love this idea of having a team. I do, however, have contracts and DA agreements. Are they comfortable signing the agreements?
Absolutely. They're very comfortable. Pretty much any virtual assistant or any fractional talent, even on the big platforms, is going to be willing to sign those kind of things. And if they're not, I wouldn't use them. But frequently, with the engagements we have on our platform, the client will request an NDA, confidentiality agreement, and potentially a contract with the VA team that they're using. And then anybody on that team that touches that client work, is subject to that same agreement.
Thank you. What about the new companies that are just starting out who don't have the contracts and NDAs? Would that be something that your teams can help with?
Yes, many times they will have a contract template that they can share, but they're also happy to use the clients, which clients often prefer because the clients created it. But yes, that kind of those kind of contracts the VA firms can provide as well.
Thank you. What risks should business owners watch out for when using AI and virtual assistants, especially regarding data privacy and intellectual property?
Well, I think to me, the issue is twofold. Is one is just basic I'll just call physical security, and making sure that people are doing work on your behalf in an environment that you deem safe. That they're not, opening your QuickBooks in Starbucks for example, or a coffee shop, should say a brand. So I think that establishing some ground rules for how your work is done, so it's done in a secure fashion, is important. So I think that's number one. And then, in terms of, data privacy and IP and that sort of thing, it's establishing some ground rules. I mean, it's like, I hear plenty of stories about, oh, I uploaded my this or that, into Chat GPT to have it analyzed. But then whatever got uploaded is now part of the public domain. And so I think those are things, particularly when you're a newer company that's got new ideas or doing some groundbreaking work, one just wants to be careful, and in asking a VA to do work for them, for example, then that's off limits. The VA should not be uploading your information, whether it's groundbreaking IP or just your financial information, should not be uploading that to AI. Or you may choose to have a private system, that, information is securely contained within that system. So I think that's just something that people just need to be careful about, both on a physical security level, as well as what they choose to use AI for in providing. The synthesis and analysis is great, but if you end up losing control of your data, that's not a good thing. So it's just being careful in those two areas.
What are the best practices for ensuring new virtual talent aligns with your core values, especially if you want to work together for long term?
Well, I personally am a real fan of trying to find longer term relationships rather than short-term projects, because short-term projects really require an awful lot of hands-on management, to set expectations, manage the work, and quality check it at the end. And so I think that if a business is really interested in scaling, finding longer term relationships with people that can get to know the business and the culture and all the things that are important to that business owner and the business values is a long run win, because then, that person isn't starting from square one each time, is building on a base of experience, and you build a relationship with that person. So I'm a fan of looking for those longer term relationships. And so I think it's a matter of finding people that share that interest, that want to be part of your business, that don't want to just do a project and then be done with it, but are interested in delivering longer term value. And I think that can come through in your work specification process. Like, this is the kind of person I'm looking for, not the project type, but the kind of person that wants to support me long term. I mean, it's being clear about what you're looking for in the person, and any other, I guess, work styles that are important to you. I want somebody that's high energy, or I want somebody that's mellow, or I want somebody that's going to help, keep me on track. Those are all things that I think can be defined in a job description, if you will, that will help you pick the right person. And then of course, we're all about vetting talent and trying to pre-vet people that have some of those characteristics, to make the process quicker of finding people, that are going to be more aligned with your value. We happen to be a very purpose-driven business. I want to help people achieve their purpose in life, so that isn't a project. That to me is a longer term commitment to helping someone achieve the impact they want in their life. And it's choosing service providers or assistants that share those values.
Thank you. How do you see the role of virtual assistants evolve in the next few years?
Well, I think I tried to speak to that a little bit on that one slide when I was showing you about the frontier of task-oriented work to outcomes-oriented work. And so I think that people who are fractional, whether they're virtual assistants or fractional accountants or fractional business consultants or whatever, I mean, I think they need to pay attention to that frontier, and, use AI intelligently in how they deliver their services and really focus on what's the human value add that differentiates you from, other fractional professionals, in the marketplace. So I think it's going to be very dynamic, and people that you really aren't embracing the future of technology and how they perform their work will, in the long run, be left behind. And I think business owners that are, in a sense, more comfortable with people that are not embracing AI, yeah, that's going to have an effect on their business as well. And unfortunately, I think that may mean they don't compete as effectively, they don't keep up, or they don't, their costs may be higher because they're not leveraging technology. So I think, going back to the survival rates of small businesses, I think the ones that are keeping pace with technology and finding intelligent, smart ways to outsource to technology as well as people are ultimately going to be the winners. And so I think that frontier is just going to continue to move right. And I don't think everybody needs to be at one end or the other of the spectrum. It's finding the right balance for your business. And I don't think it's an imminent disaster for anybody, but I think it's an evolution. And I think being open-minded to that is going to be part of the success factors for any business.
Thank you. I love the idea of having a VA, but I've never delegated. Will they help me with the process of delegation?
Absolutely, and you are not alone, whoever asked that question. So many people have never really learned how to delegate effectively. And so I like to think that, to me, an effective relationship with a VA is founded on trust. And that doesn't happen instantly. I mean, there's a vetting process and you can be pretty comfortable with somebody, but over time that trust builds. And one of the things that I think virtual assistants are especially good at is helping people, and including helping them understand how to use them, how to leverage their virtual assistant abilities. And the most successful engagements that I see over time are the people that start to build that trust by working together. I mean, no human relationship is ever perfect. There's always little bumps in the road, but getting alignment and trust is really important. And once you do that, then it's a matter of trusting the VA to do their job, and I see problems when people try to micromanage, because the VAs understand these technology systems or how to do this, that, or the other thing. And so trusting the VA to do their job and to help build a plan, like, okay, let's start with your core work. And so you can focus on that. Let's build a plan for what are the things you're comfortable outsourcing. Start with something that's low risk. Don't open your QuickBooks, for example, the first day, unless you're hiring a bookkeeper. I guess you have to. But, you can start with lower risk activities. Let's start with delegating something that's not scary. And then you get to know the person, and you can delegate that next thing. And you also are building process at the same time. And so I think it's an evolution based on trust, but VAs, they deal with delegation every single day. That's what they do. It's the work that's delegated to them. So they know the best ways to get started, to build a plan, to manage it one by one. And one things I always recommend people is make time to meet with a VA every single week, even if it's for 15, 20 minutes, to talk about what's the plan, what got done last week, what could have done better, what can we do this week. Those kind of communication processes are really important to building that trust and building a plan for delegation and carrying it out.
Thank you. That's all the questions that we have for today.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much to everyone who joined us live today. And for those of you who are looking at the recording, you'll be getting an email from us shortly with the recording. And, I would love to have conversations with each and every one of you to talk about how some of the things I shared today might apply to your business. But thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And I wish you all to have a great day. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.